Thank you, everybody, for coming to the Aaron Torres Podcast YouTube page. I do have one quick favor before we get to the video that you came here for, and that is very simply this. You see that little red subscribe button below this video? Go ahead, smash that subscribe button. It really does help me. It really does help this channel grow and my audience grow. So go ahead and hit that red subscribe button. And now, here is the video that you came here for. Let's do one more football topic, and then we will get out of here on a little college basketball as Nate Oates, Alabama, take care of business, and we'll talk a lot about that at the end of the show. But I do want to do one more college football topic, and it is related to the transfer portal. And look, guys and girls, this is the new world that we live in, right? I talked about it a lot during basketball season. But I said, this is now a topic on shows like the Aaron Torres Sports Podcast. After basketball last year, we talked a lot about Severe Wheeler going to Kentucky, Kellen Grady going to Kentucky, Marcus Carr to Texas, Kofi Coburn when he hit the portal, on and on and on and on and on. Now it is translated to college football, where this is the first offseason with the one-time transfer rule, and college football transfer portal stuff is taking off like wildfire. Spencer Rattler last week, we talked about it, and there is no bigger piece of news then on Friday, we got some mega transfer portal news as Quinn Ewers, who was the number one quarterback in the high school class of 2022, he announced in August that he was reclassifying and enrolling early at Ohio State. He gets to Ohio State in August, and after 5 months, basically decides, deuces, I'm out, I'm transferring. And it's a crazy story, and there was a lot of strong reaction to it. So let's get into it and let's break it down. Because what I would tell you is, I've been doing this media stuff for a long time, and it's very rare that in 2021 I see a story that I'm genuinely surprised by the reaction to, right? This is 2021. Everyone has a strong opinion at all times. We have social media. We put it out. And so it's very rare that I see something that I am genuinely surprised by as it pertains to basically anything involved in sports. But with Quinn Ewers, I was stunned by the reaction to it, and not so much from Ohio State fans. Ohio State fans, I know you're listening. I understand your frustration. You thought you were going to have this kid for 2 or 3 years. He was the number one quarterback. He's maybe capable of winning a Heisman Trophy, so I understand your frustration. I was surprised, though, by the reaction from the media. I was surprised by the reaction from other fans, and most of it stems from how this all came together. And so as a little backstory, let me just catch you up. As I said, Quinn Ewers was the number one high school quarterback in the high school class of 2022, which means that he should be a senior right now, getting ready to graduate. He was committed to Ohio State. He had previously been committed to Texas. Decommits, goes to Ohio State. And he was planning on going this coming year. But then what happened was NIL got put into place in college sports. And if you remember, this was the kid that was playing high school football in Texas, and high school athletes in Texas were not allowed to make NIL money. And so this was a big story back in early August, mid-August, late August, where basically he came out and said, look, I wasn't planning on leaving high school early. I want to go compete for a state championship with my brothers. I'm from Texas. I'm from Dallas. This means a lot to us. But if I stay in high school sports with the rules that they currently are in the state of Texas, I will be leaving life-changing money on the table by not going to play college football. And if you remember, he kind of threw out, I think I can make upwards of $1 million. Now, we don't know exactly how much he made, but he said, look, I have this kind of setup. I have this endorsement deal. I have a company that wants me that will give me equity into their company. And so he made the decision to leave for Ohio State. I think it's important to note right then and there, this is why I was not surprised. If you just go back to the decision to reclassify, it was never a football decision. It was always a money decision. It was always about dollars and cents. It was always about leaving millions of dollars potentially, or at the very least $1 million on the table by playing high school football this year. If it was about football, he wouldn't have gone to Ohio State. Not because he's not a talented player, not because he's not good, but Ohio State had 3 different quarterbacks that were by technicality freshmen on this year's roster. Remember, Justin Fields graduated this past year, goes on to the NFL, Chicago Bears, whatever. C.J. Stroud was his backup as a redshirt freshman last year. They have another redshirt, as a true freshman last year, redshirt freshman this year. They have another redshirt freshman named Jack Miller this year, who actually just announced his transfer as well. On top of that, they brought in a quarterback in the class of 2021 named Kyle McCord. So you have 3 different quarterbacks, all freshmen, going into this season outside of Quinn Ewers. And so that's why it wasn't surprising to me. Because to me, and I don't know the family, I have no inside information on this, but to me, I never really got the sense that it was a football decision. I always got the sense that it was a money decision. It was about money first, and that we'll figure out the football stuff later. Now, in a perfect world, you kind of hope they're 2-1, right? You pick the school that's best for you. You pick the school where you can make some NIL money. It's one big, happy, kumbaya family. I never got the sense that that was the case with this story, though. He goes to a school where there are 3 freshman quarterbacks already on the roster. We already know that Ohio State has a pretty good track record under Ryan Day, that one of them is going to win the job and one of them was going to ball out. And so to me, I always saw this as 2 completely different things. Hey, if I win the starting quarterback job, that's great. But this is really about the money. We'll figure out the football after. And so you could probably guess what happens from there. CJ Stroud gets the job. He balls out. He's going to be a Heisman finalist. And now this kid's kind of sitting around like, dude, I just did my year. If I had enrolled on a normal calendar, that would mean I'd be enrolling next year, and I'd only have to sit behind CJ Stroud for 1 year. But now I already used 1 year of eligibility. I'm going to have to use another year of eligibility, and I'm not getting on the field till year 3. And so to me, that was why I was genuinely shocked by the reaction from college football fans. Like, oh my God, how could he do this? He committed to this. He did that. And I said, like, did we really think that the number 1 high school quarterback in high school football in 2021 was going to wait 3 years to get on the field? Because I never got that sense. Again, for the last time, I'm not going to keep repeating myself. I got the sense, hey, I'm going to come, get my money. If it works out, cool. And if not, we got this one-time transfer rule. And I'm bouncing with that check in hand, and I'm going somewhere else and spending all my money somewhere else. And so he announced that he's leaving. Now the interesting part, and again, I guess I would even backtrack by saying I don't really understand the frustration. I mean, I guess people are mad that he took the NIL money, but this was what was going to happen with NIL. People are mad that he decided to transfer without even playing. He had 2 full snaps the entire year. Well, this is what the one-time transfer rule is. I've been hearing for years you want the one-time transfer rule. I've been hearing for years you want the NIL. To be clear, I'm in favor of both, but we should have all known this kind of stuff was going to happen. I told you 2 years ago. I actually used the example with Justin Fields. I said, imagine how much money Justin Fields would have made as a Georgia boy committing to play Georgia football, and he would have given it all up to transfer to Ohio State. So this is all a 2021 version of what I was telling you was going to happen 3, 4, 5 years ago. So I don't understand the outrage. I don't understand why people were surprised. The number 1 quarterback in America was never waiting 3 years to step on the field, or at the very least even compete for the job, because it's not like Ryan Day is going to give him the job over CJ Stroud when CJ Stroud is about to be a Heisman finalist. And so now let's get to the fun part, and let's talk about where he could potentially end up, because it's really interesting, right? I saw Pete Thamel was the one who broke this story. Pete Thamel actually dating back to August broke the story that he was going to leave high school football this year to play at Ohio State. Full circle, Pete Thamel was the one who broke the story that he was leaving Ohio State to transfer. And Pete Thamel put out 3 schools: Texas, Texas A&M, and TCU. Or Texas, Texas A&M, and Texas Tech, not TCU. And keep in mind, this kid is from Texas. He's from the Dallas area. And what I would say is this. I don't really have a ton of inside information on this, but I kind of sort of feel like this is one of those, like in college basketball, you get these sometimes, right? Where like you start to hear rumors and you start to put puzzle pieces together. And sometimes like stuff is done before you even realize that anything is going on. Like I remember, I'll tell you a quick side story. We'll get back to Quinn Ewers. And ironically, it has to do with Texas. But I remember Marcus Carr last year. I remember Marcus Carr before he even withdrew from the NBA draft. I was kind of being told, like, behind the scenes, like, yeah, Marcus Carr is going to be Texas' starting point guard next year. And I was like, he's in the NBA draft. They're like, he's going to withdraw. It's already done. It's just a matter of time. He's waiting on a few other things from the NBA. But if he doesn't hear what he likes, he's coming back to Texas. It's already done. And so I bring it up because sometimes this stuff is already done. And so I thought it was – I understand why Pete Thamel put out 3 different schools. But can we be honest for a second? I feel pretty confident. And again, call me out if I'm wrong on this. I'm almost certain the kid's going to be the Texas quarterback next year. He's going to a place where he can win the job and have success right away. And why is it's real simple. And to be clear, when I say it's a done deal, I'm not accusing Steve Sarkisian of anything. I'm not accusing anybody of lying. But let's just break it down very simply. First of all, Texas A&M, I can tell you a few things. One, they had the kid Haynes King that got hurt this year that started the year. I know for a fact that staff really likes that kid, that they don't believe that we got to see how good that kid could be, and that they believe he is the kind of kid that can lead you to an SEC championship. Don't know if he will. They believe that he can. So he's coming back next year. He got hurt this year. On top of that, they have a kid committed for 2022 named Connor Wegman, who's really good, that they're really excited about. And so to me, I don't think Texas A&M is a realistic landing spot for him. I don't think Texas Tech is really a landing spot for him. And I know that there's reports that his high school coach is going to go there and this, that, the other thing. Here's the bottom line. Think about it like this. Number one high school quarterback in America, okay? $1 million in NIL. 100,000 followers or whatever on Instagram. Does that strike you as the kind of kid that is going to put his entire career in the hands of a first-year, first-time head coach at Texas Tech that was the Baylor linebackers coach next year at Texas Tech, by the way? So you mean to tell me he's going to go play for like the 6th or 7th or 8th most recognizable Big 12 brand? No disrespect, Texas Tech fans, but it's the truth. Maybe it happens. I just don't see it. To me, I think it's Texas. I think it's already done. I tweeted it out the day that we saw that he was transferring. I'll be honest, I kind of get the sense that he's going to be the starting quarterback. And here's why. A couple things. One, like I just said a minute ago, it doesn't make sense for the number one quarterback in America to go to Texas Tech, okay? Or TCU or SMU or Baylor or wherever. It just doesn't. When you're that high profile, you go to high profile schools. Again, go back to when Justin Fields transferred from Georgia. You know, you started to hear weird small schools, I think Mississippi State maybe, this, that, the other thing. And then Ohio State got involved, and you're like, oh, yeah, that guy's going to Ohio State. He was the number one or number two quarterback in the country behind Trevor Lawrence. He's a baller. He should have been starting for Georgia. He's going to Ohio State. End of ball game, Ohio State offers, you're done. So, one, I just think there's the Texas element of it. Big brand, big school, big state. If you're making great NIL money at Ohio State, you'll make great NIL money at UT. Two, I don't know if you remember, but Steve Sarkisian, like throughout the year, Steve Sarkisian played two quarterbacks, Hudson Card and Casey Thompson. Neither of them was that impressive. Neither of them was that good. And Steve Sarkisian, like pretty openly was like, wouldn't commit to either one of them long term. And so, again, I'm not saying that Steve Sarkisian, that it's 100% done. I'm not saying that that he did anything illegal by reaching out or contacting or doing anything in. I'm just saying, just put the common sense together. This kid came to college early for NIL money. He's from Texas. He was committed to Texas. Steve Sarkisian, for all his criticism, he's the quarterback whisperer. He's the quarterback guru. He's whatever. I think there's another factor in this as well. Quinn Ewers comes in next year, wins the job at Texas. What does that mean for the future? Well, there's a pretty good quarterback in the class of 2023 named Arch Manning, Archie Manning's grandson, Peyton and Eli's nephew. And so if you think about it, the Manning family is very tactical, very well thought out. I don't think they want to send Arch somewhere where he is going to have to go in right away, start, be the program savior, whatever. Not saying that means it's Bama, not saying it means it's Clemson, not saying it means this, not saying it's that. I think they want him to go to a place where he can compete for the job, but I don't think they'd be upset if he can sit for a year and learn from somebody else. So Quinn Ewers transfers to Texas, all hypothetical, I'm just saying. 2023, you get Arch Manning in. Hopefully, ideally, in a perfect world, he suppose he has a great relationship with Steve Sarkisian. Learns from Quinn Ewers. Quinn Ewers leaves after his junior year, and Arch Manning takes over. Again, that last part was a little bit hypothetical. I'm going long. I didn't plan on talking 13 minutes on Quinn Ewers, but I'm just sitting here saying, to me, I don't know. But it feels like it's done. Texas makes the most sense. They're not committed at quarterback. They're trying to start over fresh under Steve Sarkisian. Sark is a quarterback guru. This kid was already committed to Texas. I think that's where he